you before about boxing and wanting to see how it would go against, the elite boxers in the world. Is that something down the line? I know your background's in boxing. Still
He's
interesting.
he has always been down the line. This is something that I'm not taking my eyes off it. This gonna happen either way. And even if I stay, even if or when the USA and I we finalize a deal, the boxing part has to be into it because I can't see myself how to retire without boxing.
Is there somebody you'd want to test yourself, whether it's, Tyson Fury's or Deontay Wilder's, those type of guys,
Yes,
right?
yes, all of them. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. I would like to test myself to their level. It's not the same sport, but although I'm the champion, so I'm in the top in this division. And at the end of the day, it's just about like throwing hands, throwing punches, having a good delivery system to throw those bombs. And I'm sure that if I deliver my own punches pretty good, I can make some damage.
What's good, family? Obviously, big love to my doggy general, Jim Maxwell, for coming through and boosting up your man the YB's coins, yeah? Doing what Mr. Johnston could never do. Not even a little bit. Big scary ass, big for nothing, big looking Nick, yeah? Anyway, moving on to today's topic. So we just heard there from Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury airing each other out, looking for some serious smoke. Now listen, Francis Ngannou right now is in some contract disputes with the UFC. Why? He is thirsty. You heard it there. He wants the squabbles in boxing. He says that boxers are sweet at this particular point in time. Now who can blame him? Yeah, he sees Mr. Anthony Johnston. Yeah, he sees a big looking ass 6'6" wannabe model getting his toes done, and before that getting filled in by a cruiserweight. He sees Deontay Wilder with no skills. He sees Tyson Fury with little spindly legs. Yeah, etc, etc, and he thinks there's something sweet. Now listen, what we're not going to do. A year ago I'd have come on there and said, listen, Ngannou will do this, Ngannou will do that, but the truth is, I've seen Ngannou choked out by some next Don, Stipe, so let's just wait and see what he's going to bring. And we haven't actually seen, the thing about Ngannou is, we've seen him dominate beta males, but Ngannou hasn't really ever fought someone who can bang. He looks good against people who are wrestlers. He's good against people who like to roll on the floor. Boxing is a different game, and if I was to bet, has Ngannou got a 12-round gas tank? We don't know. Look at all the so-called pro boxers who gas out. Wilder gasses out. Johnston gasses out. So, Ngannou gasses out in 4-ounce gloves. So it's kind of, listen, do I want to see the fight? Absolutely. Because right now, all of the kind of hopes, Johnston, Wilder, Dillian Shite, all the hopes as such, all the great black hopes are down bad. So maybe we need to bring in a MMA fighter, yeah? Because right now, all the great black hopes are down bad. Yeah, they've all been psyoped, they've all been global opt, 100%. They've all been brought into the global agenda to look, you know what I'm saying? Big for nothing looking ass nicks, 100%. So maybe Ngannou come in, but truth be known, if I was to bet, I think Ngannou will come in and he'll be the 4th great black hope to flop on the floor. That's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling Ngannou going to be the 4th great black hope to jump on the floor. That's what I'm going to bet on. Because guess what? Wilder on the floor. Johnston on the ropes. Shite in the courts. Yeah? Who else we got? Well, you know what I'm saying? That's the current situation of boxing right now. Anyway, so Tyson Fury did respond to these claims from Francis Ngannou, and he essentially said the following: who would like to see, and he posted this on his own social media, he said, who would like to see me fight this beast in boxing rules with UFC gloves? At Dana White, at Mr. Ngannou. Now, one thing I do like about this, and I can't lie, I feel like these guys are locked into my channel, because guess what? Ain't no one ever talked about boxing adopting UFC gloves. I think a new promotion needs to be made. I think the zone should implement this, because listen, boxing gloves are dead. Boxing gloves, they cause more damage, they make less KOs. In UFC, yeah, people who can't punch can knock someone out because of the gloves. In boxing, it dampens all of the snap, and it makes it more dangerous. Why? Because it means you can keep punching forever. When you have smaller gloves, your hand, you can't just keep licking. When you have them pillows on your fist, 10-ounce pillows, it means you can punch forever. And it also means fighters can take more blows, because nothing's ever critical, if that makes sense. Yeah, whereas in them UFC gloves, and them 4-ounce gloves, it doesn't take much to put you out, which is actually more healthy. It's better to be out than it is to be pounded on again and again and again, because you can't quite be finished. Think about Adonis Stevenson. Think about all of the great kind of bad fights. Them guys in 4-ounce gloves would have been cold out a lot earlier, which actually saves them the blunt force trauma they end up taking. Yeah? So never mind the entertainment aspect, which would also be increased, because listen, if we know UFC fighters who can't punch a lick, we've seen wrestlers knock people out cold with a big overhand right because of the gloves. So the entertainment would go up exponentially, and I believe that's actually one of the key reasons UFC is so entertaining, is because people who aren't even trained to really punch can knock people out. Imagine what it would do to boxing. It would make boxing fights. It would. People say people have puncher's chance, yeah, but really in boxing, the puncher's chance thing's a myth, yeah. But you best believe, with them 4-ounce gloves, you genuinely would have a puncher's chance. I mean, look at Tyson Fury. Who's to say, yeah, that's Steve Cunningham or even Deontay Wilder. Both of them fights in 4-ounce gloves, there would be an argument he wouldn't have got up because of the extra power, if you know what I'm saying. So it's really it mix it all up, and I'm not sure why these commissions or whoever it is haven't innovated the sport. We've seen the UFC come up, we've seen them introduce innovations like the smaller gloves. Why is boxing sitting back 500 years ago for? You haven't changed the rules. In fact, I think they may have made the gloves bigger. What's that about? They made the gloves bigger, I believe, to add more protection allegedly, but it actually damages the fighters. Yeah? Damages them 100%, and it kills the entertainment. Anyway, moving on. So anyway, your man Tyson Fury said, who wants to see this fight? I mean, I want to see the fight, because Johnston, at least Ngannou, we can kind of have the hope of him being undefeated. We can have the hope of something new. We know what we're going to get with Johnston. We're going to get no heart, and we're going to get no gas tank. That's no good. That can stay where it is. Yeah? Or we can get Dillian Shite, Mr. I've been done wrong. Yeah? Mr. Someone help me. Who else we got? Deontay Wilder. Big heart, but no, not a lick of skills. And he's too light in the backside as well. 210 pounds, like an ass. Too skinny in the back. And that's what I like about Ngannou. Ngannou, he's got the bulbousness. Yeah, he's full. He's not chicken leg. Ngannou's similar actually, but he's actually bigger. Ngannou's even bigger than Johnston. Ngannou talks about having to cut weight, and the thing is with Ngannou, he's not soft. He's not like Dillian Shite. Ngannou's a full-fledged mesomorph. Yeah, he's proper prominent. What's that DNA called? Yeah, I spoke to one of my alien dons, and he told me that Ngannou is 100%. What's that? The Engineers. What's that film called? Listen, you best believe, yeah, Ngannou is from the Engineers goo. Yeah. That film, Prometheus, when the engineers put the goo in, that's what Ngannou's got some of that in him. 100%. I spoke to them, man. Yeah? The engineer man told me, Ngannou, he one of us. He got that engineer's DNA. The engineer's goo. You best believe that. So Mr. Engineer's goo versus Tyson Fury, I'm down to see it. And I'm glad that Ngannou wants to make the move. Why does Ngannou want to make the move? Apparently it's because of the money. We know Dana, he's big greedy. Yeah? Dana hasn't become a billionaire for nothing. And that's why people say, YB, Dana needs to pay the fighters more. No, Dana wants to become a multi-trillionaire, so he can't pay no fighters, can he? Fighters need to stop being selfish. How can you expect Dana to get to a trillionaire if he's going to pay you lot? Yeah, so fighters need to stop being selfish and appreciate Dana's own ambitions. Yeah, Dana wants to be a trillionaire, so you man need to be fighting for $2 grand to win, $2 grand to turn up, and $2 grand to win. Simple as that. Yeah, Daddy Dana has got some big money to make. That being said though, Ngannou, he wants some of the big cake. So I can't blame him. As long as he's prepared to go in there and earn the big cake and not just flop on the floor like the rest of them, I don't mind. Will he do that? We don't know. because I've seen him half jack against Stipe, so I haven't got much hope, to be honest. But at this point, for me, it's just I'm just rolling the dice. Who knows what these guys have got inside them? Because in 2021, with all the estrogen they're pumping in the water, these guys are soft on the inside. That's a fact as well. Don't get me wrong, they're big, yeah, but like I said before, they're big for nothing. They're big for nothing looking ass nicks, 100%. Yeah, the whole lot of them are. Anyway, Ngannou responded to Tyson Fury and said, "How about MMA rules with boxing gloves? I can do you that favour." Like, I don't know whether this is some sort of bad interpretation from Ngannou, but about I can do you that favour. Who wants to watch that? In boxing gloves? That's what can't. These guys, yeah, people like Dillian Shite, people like Ngannou on this particular reply. Why is he killing the vibe for? You put a video out saying you want to go to the boxing and you want to fill Tyson Fury in. Now you're talking about, oh, let's go to UFC. What? No, who wants to watch that? No one wants to watch that. We want to see you who only use it. Listen. The thing is about Ngannou, yeah, has anyone seen him wrestle? I haven't. So why are you trying to be funny style for? You yourself have admitted you want to put a clause into your UFC contract because Dana stays in your pockets. So why are you trying to make out let's come to the UFC? It's weird, although I think, does Ngannou have some more fights left on his contract? So it might be the case that Ngannou is kind of trying to, oh well, maybe if you come to UFC now, we can get it done now. But either way, that's dead. Let me tell you now, that's a dead idea. Yeah, that is a dead idea. And no one trying to watch big lanky leg. Tyson Fury's got no legs. Yeah, and that would be the easiest dump I've ever seen. I reckon I could dump Tyson Fury. His legs are like matchsticks. Yeah, he ain't got no stability, and he'll get picked up and thrown around like a rag doll. And there's no doubt about that. So scrap that idea. And besides, I wouldn't even want to watch that, truth be known. I want to see how Tyson Fury performs against a man who can bang in 4-ounce gloves. That's it. Yeah? That's what the world wants to see. And I believe that potentially could do 1 million pay-per-views, you know. I really do. Especially if the UFC have some involvement. Because if they get the UFC crowd on board, we know Tyson Fury can do 600k, 700k against someone unknown in Wilder. Ngannou's selling 600-700k pay-per-views on his own. Or against a good opponent in the UFC. But whatever opponent Ngannou's faced, for example, Stipe isn't as known as Tyson Fury. I really do think at $50 or $60 for a pay-per-view, I reckon they'll do over 1 million. So it's interesting. The intrigue's there, for sure. But, again, I think most likely Ngannou's going to have to get away from Dana. Why? Dana knows Ngannou's value is in the UFC. If he starts getting beaten by everyone, if he gets beaten by Tyson Fury, for example, yes, you would have lost to the best boxer in the world at the moment, but still, it kind of kills the allure, doesn't it? Oh, the UFC champion who got smoked in boxing, especially if he gets knocked out as well. That's even worse. Because but then again, in the UFC, people are used to losing. But again, Ngannou at the moment is being seen as the next, or really, Ngannou's almost seen in a league of his own. He is the all-time great slayer. Ngannou's the man who knocked out the greatest heavyweight of all time. Does Dana White want to lose that? Well, I guess the argument is, will Dana want to pay for that? Because Dana's got a habit of, and to be fair, I'm not blaming all on Dana. I see both sides. Dana is greedy, but equally Dana does give these guys a lot. In as much as the minute they attach to the UFC, these guys have got $1 million YouTube channels now out of nowhere. These guys can print $1 million off YouTube just from having, obviously they've worked hard. Obviously Ngannou had to become champion and whatnot, but even the guys who aren't champion, like Michael Bisping and Paddy the Baddy, all them ones, them guys are making bank as well. So you have to appreciate, and these guys didn't have no name before the UFC. So I guess it's 6 of one and half dozen of the other. Both sides have got areas they can work on. Look at McTapper. To be fair to Dana, when a star comes along who is undeniable, he does tend to pay. Yeah, McTapper gets paid. So really, people argue, oh, I'm not getting paid enough. Well, the argument is, you ain't bringing in enough. Because when it was McTapper, he paid. So fix up your game and start promoting. Start trying to find something new, unique. Yeah? Anyway, Tyson Fury replied and said, "You want to come into my world, calling me and Wilder out to a boxing match. What I can guarantee, you would be knocked out cold and also paid your highest purse to do so, to be so. So have a think about it." He said, Ngannou said, "After I handle business on January 22nd, I'll fight you under any special rule set you want, in a ring, in an octagon, or in a phone booth." So that's why I'm hoping that Ngannou's initial comment about, "Oh, let's do it," I think, to be honest, I do think it potentially was a language misinterpretation. I think what Ngannou was really saying, or potentially was really saying, is you can get it anyway, if that makes sense. So initially, Fury said, "Yeah, let's do it in boxing rules, MMA gloves." Ngannou came back and said, "Listen, we can do it in boxing gloves and MMA. Whatever way you want it, you can get it," which does also make sense why he came back now and said, "We can do it in octagon, on a phone, wherever." So I do think it probably was actually a language problem, rather than him trying to be scary and run back to the UFC, much like, for example, we had the whole Jake Paul and Jorge Masvidal situation. Jake Paul called him out to boxing, and Masvidal, who'd been giving it the big one, big dog Masvidal, who's been knocking people out on the street for years with his hands, the man who said himself that wrestling don't count, all of a sudden says, "Oh man, let's go to the UFC so I can hold your leg, and I love to hold your leg. I love to hang onto another man's leg and get all sweaty on the floor." That's what he said, 100%. Yeah, Masvidal said he don't want to box, he wants to hang on your leg and get all sweaty looking on the floor. Anyway, listen, you've heard from them too. This fight would be exciting as far as the current heavyweight landscape goes. Bear in mind, we're not getting a Dillian White fight. We're not. Deontay Wilder shot to bits now, and Anthony Johnston's as good as finished. So really, the next great black hope is going to be Ngannou. Because seriously, who else is there? I guess we've got Team Joe Joyce for Team Lighty. Yeah, obviously my doggy Team Joe Joyce holding down the Team Lighty right now. Yeah, 100% Joe Joyce is holding down his representation for Team Lighty. So to be fair, Team Lighty, we're looking alright right now. Yeah. Team Black Dons, you down bad. Yeah, you might need to have it. Listen, I'll tell you right now, you might need to have, what do they call it? You might need to have a conference, 100%. Have a emergency conference. YB is scheduling. Yeah, YB is scheduling emergency conference for the Team Great Black Hope right now, because you might are going through it. Yeah, you got Deontay Twerk a lot. You got Anthony Johnston. Anthony getting his nails done, Johnston. You got Dillian Shite, Mr. Court. Yeah, you got Mr. Judge. you got Mr. you got Mr. Law Enforcement, Dillian Shite. Yeah, Shillian Shite. So listen, you might need. I'm just telling you what it is. You might need an emergency conference right now, because Team Light is alright. We got Anthony Yardy. We got Team Joe Joyce. So you might need to do your thing. Yeah, stop talking on LDBC about this, that, the other, and get your conference going, because you might need to schedule in some things. Team Lighty, we're looking nice right now. Yeah, Joe Joyce, he representing. Anthony Yardy, he representing. So it's one of them ones, no doubt.